thank you so much, everybody who's joined in. Today, we're going to be talking about how Keller Postman discovered their journey to growth and a data-driven growth. To be fair, with us today is Sorin. Sorin is Director of Engineering at Keller Postman. Sorin is a seasoned leader with around like 20 years of experience driving data strategy, engineering, and analytics for high-growth organizations across legal, fintech, media. As a director of data engineering at Keller Postman, he leads firms' modernization initiatives, building a scalable cloud-first data platform that empowers around like 400 users and enables fast decision making. Thank you so much, Sorin, to join in and vouch for Hivo today. We're really happy to have you here.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciates the invitation.
Awesome. Moving on, we'll go through a quick agenda conversation that what we're going to be discussing in today's webinar. So we'll start from very basic, like why is scaling data harder than ever right now, and why is it so important to focus on that as well. Then we'll go a little bit like in the story of what Killer Postman does, their stack at glance, how did they achieve their journey and what lessons you could take out of from their journey and what's next for them. Soren, my first question is, when do you think, as a business, these are the initial signs that they should start scaling their data infrastructure?
Right. So here at Keller Postman, it's a law firm, and they are working on mass arbitration and mass litigation. One side of the business, the other side of the business is personal injury. And the company used to manage their business in multiple CRMs, Salesforce, Fin1, Filevine, Fin, another one. Also use different marketing tools, but everything was fragmented. There was no data warehouse, right? At some point, the leaders here realized that they need to unify the data platform. That's where they came to the conclusion that they need to kind of build a data team to consolidate all these separate and spread out data platforms.
Awesome.
So that was kind of about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
That's where I joined Keller Postman for that initiative.
Okay, got it. Understood. So you could see that there's a lot of fragmented data that needs to be put into one place, which is like the centralized source of truth for everybody to use, right? Going like maybe slightly more in depth of why are scaling these systems have become harder than ever, and what kind of problems did you face while scaling your systems?
Right. So I think the main problems that they had here was the data was in different separate systems, right? Which raised different costs because every CRM that they used had a separate cost. Also, the other main problem was for the legal world, they needed to pull the reports and data together from all these places, right? And there was no good way or centralized place that somebody can do that. They needed to go in all these different systems, download in spreadsheets, and then do lookups, merges in spreadsheets, right? Like there was a lot of spreadsheet work across the company for different departments, right? That's where people realize that we need something centralized, something that can be called, the system of truth, where everybody can rely on that data.
Got it. And how did the complexity of case management, client intake, and marketing system contribute to these data challenges?
Right, so the data was pretty complex. We have the personal data, right? We deal with a lot of personal data, but also medical data for different litigation cases. Also kind of financial data for different individuals, right? And they were all spread out in different platforms, spreadsheets. We collected data from our customers through different web interfaces or portals, right? And that data needed to be consolidated also. They are also in different either different portals or different spread out in different spreadsheets.
Got it. Understood. So moving on, I understood that around a year and a half, while you were hunting for something to centralize your data, and now we are, I think we've discussed about this one. So now we come to the turning point, right? Where you're able to um, figure out what the problem statement for you was and, moved to a solution. So where did that conversation start from? Like, how did you decide that Snowflake should be your central data warehouse?
Right. So first, there's the right data needed to be centralized. That was the main problem, right? Salesforce was one source. A lot of Excel's files were another source. Filevine, it's another CRM. They had another two CRMs, and then they're all marketing efforts like Meta and Google Ads and Microsoft Bings, and all the data needed to put together so people can understand the funnel, they can understand the spend on all this marketing and what the conversion rates are. And that was very difficult to do in separate systems and on in spreadsheets, right? The other consideration was we need a platform that's easy to query for users, something that's closer to SQL. We looked at Databricks and Snowflake. For the platforms, we ended up going with Snowflake for cost considerations and ease of managing the warehouses.
Got it, got it. And when you say cost consideration, so for Snowflake, you felt that it was more cost effective for your use
Yeah,
case?
definitely Snowflake was more cost effective for us than Databricks.
Got it, understood. So that's a pretty
We looked
interesting.
also at Microsoft Synapses, but
Hmm.
same considerations.
Fair enough. So I see, 1.5 year we started on to build this initiative. Then we figured out, okay, there's a warehouse needed, and Snowflake came into by having these non-negotiables of ease of use, and also kind of the cost that was involved into it. So while you were probably trying to weave in to push your data from to Snowflake. I think that's where your stack got complete. Where how did you do the integration part of it, and how did that happen for you?
Yeah, exactly. So once we decided on the platform, Snowflake, right, the next round was now how are we going to get all these data sources or separate data into Snowflake, right, into a warehouse that where we can combine data and create data marts or data sets for reporting purposes. So we looked at a few tools. One consideration was to write the integrations ourselves, right? Many of these sources have APIs that you can reach out and pull data, Salesforce, Filevine, Meta, Google. But that required a lot of engineering, and the team here is pretty small. So we looked at some other options that could maybe relieve us from writing code on the intake side, right, on getting data into the platform, and then we can concentrate on building the actual warehouse, data marts, and then reporting. So we looked out and we found Hivo.
That sounds like a smart strategy for a small team.
Sorry,
Focusing on
my
no-code/no-code ETL tools
I
or
think your Siri also
yeah, the
wants to
Siri kind
contribute.
of picked something up, so I tried to turn it off. Sorry for that.
Not a problem.
Apologize for interruption.
Not a problem. I think
Right.
that Siri is also vouching for how you built your stack.
Right. So we looked for a tool that can do integrations with all the sources that we need to get data from, but also something that it's cost effective, right? And it's not going to be something that's kind of raised with the cost of hiring an engineer or maintaining a team of engineers to do data intake. And we find Hivo. We did a POC with Hivo, and things were very smooth. And really the integration took maybe half an hour, few minutes to set up like the Salesforce integration was very fast, very easy, right? It's very simple to set up the pipelines, get data moving, landing it up in our, we're using the medallion system, like we have the bronze, silver, and gold layer. So it was very easy to land data in our bronze layer, and actually see the data and be able to write some fast reporting and be able to start working on a more on the next layer, on the silver and gold layer for data marts and reporting.
Got it. Understood. So I'll probably like deep dive into a couple of more segments while we're talking about, choosing the right architecture, right? So when it comes to like a decision making for a tool like Hivo, what were your non-negotiables at that time that made you choose Hivo, or for that matter, what was the list of non-negotiables for you there?
Yeah, so definitely some non-negotiable points were the ease of integration,
Yeah.
connectors, right? Also observability, make sure that we can understand when something fails and we can address that easily, right? Without need to write many queries or go in some backend systems. And also very important was support, right? Like, if there's anything happening in the pipeline, do we have anybody to support us pretty, on a timely basis? The other one is the speed of integration. Like, data in the warehouse needed to come. Initially, the thought was at least minimum an hour, right? If we can go beyond an hour, that would be great, but at least an hour latency. So with Hivo, we were able initially set on Salesforce specifically to do 30 minutes, but then a few months ago they helped us and we're down to 15 minutes, synchronizing data down from the source into our bronze layer in Snowflake.
Got it. Understood. And how does this latency change, or even, getting these fast, your data fast in your Snowflake layer helps you in your day-to-day life and decision making?
Yeah, so definitely helps in a few ways. This allows us to have a centralized reporting, right, where we can put, for example, Salesforce data together with phone call data and make this data surface to business users, right? Before, it used to take days to produce a report because they need to collect the data from here, merge it with data from this other source, right? Somebody's do it in Excel, then put it in some PowerPoint. Right now, we'll be able to answer questions within, an hour or two. Any questions that the leaders would ask, we'll be able to answer those.
Got it. Understood. And yeah.
Yeah, on the front end, we went with Sigma as the reporting tool, right?
Yeah.
And we looked at Power BI and other Sisense, other providers, but Sigma has a very Excel-like look and feel, right? Which our users were very deep into Excel experience. So that made that made Sigma be the product that we chose to go with, in a hope that adoption would be good.
Awesome, awesome. So now that you've set up like your whole stack like this, my question would be, what kind of end use cases are you solving by the data that you have in your Snowflake and then in your Sigma?
Definitely. Well, there's a bunch of use cases. One important use case is allowing lawyers and case managers to pull data immediately and produce PDF files that needed to be submitted to courts or other entities, right? The other very important piece is understanding close to real time the spend on the marketing efforts that we have, right? It used to take days. Now we can do it in few 30 minutes, an hour, understand how intakes are coming, like how conversions are going, and allows our marketing team to adjust the strategy on Meta platforms or Google platforms.
Got it. Understood.
Also allows finance to have a single point of view of data, right? That was another big problem. Like, finance got data from different departments, data didn't match, like nobody knew what was the source of truth on the finance side. This allows finance to have a single source of truth for their finance reporting.
Got it. Understood. I think we've covered nearly almost all these points before in the conversation. So moving on to the next one, I would just probably want to ask like what kind of insights and what kind of impact were you able to create from in integration with Hivo to Snowflake and then to Sigma?
Yeah, so definitely because the data is consolidated now, they can join like CRM data with all kind of the survey data that we do for customers and all kind of other data that we collect in our software platform, right? Because we do medical records, for example, we use AI to parse medical records, right? And those results needed to be put together. So a lawyer or a case manager will understand the whole view, right? Not only what's in CRM, but everything that comes from the medical records and everything that comes from the surveys that our clients filled in online on different platforms.
Got
And
it.
we were able to, right, using Sigma, we're able to get right now, I think we're probably 500 users across all the platforms that now use Sigma as their main reporting tool, right? A lot of people move off a bunch of Excel reports directly into Sigma, right? They allow them to do any kind of Tableau reports, and for more fancy users, they do graphical or dashboards and KPIs on those reports, right? They're able to share those reports with whoever users they need to without needing to ship up files or PDF documents. So there's a lot of pretty good, like in less than 6 months, we got a very, very strong adoption.
Got it. Understood. That's pretty awesome to know that you were able to get that kind of adoption so quick. Typically it takes a lot of time for users to get onto a new tool, learn a new tool. There's always a learning curve for that. But that's great that you were able to do so. While we are talking about outcomes, how did the data kiosk became the data clarity for you?
Right. So being able to get the data in one place and join and create data marts that put this data together saved a lot of time for a lot of people in enterprise, case managers, lawyers, other people that work with them. Allow them to be self-served mostly. Right, there are two group of people. There's a group of people that just they consume the reports that's already done, but there's a big group of people that they do their own reporting. We give them the data models, they're called in Sigma, and they just go and get whatever they need out of data models. They do their own dashboards, their own reporting. So I do not need to really have report writers or data analysts on my team. I already have one engineer that is also kind of a data analyst and takes care of all Sigma and gets, try to answer questions when people have like functionality questions around Sigma, but I don't need to have a big team that writes reports or maintains reports. And it's probably, I would say, 90% self-serve.
Got it. Understood. That's pretty amazing to know that you're able to function all of these users just by one person who's acting as an engineer as well as analyst. Getting down to kind of a next part with the key results, as you mentioned, I'll just quickly cover this up that Keller Postman was able to before it would have taken weeks to cover the make up new pipeline, and you were able to make it in minutes. The data freshness started from daily, it became down to 15 to 30 minutes, which is amazing, which is something that was a major concern for you all as well. BI adoption became to 400 users. Data access is now all centralized in Snowflake, and TCO is lower and much more predictable. Is that the right list of results that you were able to get?
Yeah, I think this looks pretty accurate, right? We're looking to for some of the data sources, we're looking to get data even closer to real time. So working with Hivo on their new platforms. uh, for to achieve that goal.
Yes, exactly. And we love that we are able to, onboard you onto the new platform as well. So I think now is a good time to kind of, summarize the lessons from your journey, because you took this journey of starting from scratch to here. And I know you might have done this multiple time in like the vast experience you have. So what are the three, four things that you would want all the data engineers or like the data leaders who are just setting up to keep in mind, and what should be their non-negotiables while building their stack?
Yeah, definitely look for tools like Hivo when you need to do the data ingestion, right? That's at least for us with a small engineering team, right? Allows us to concentrate on what's more important, right? On building the warehouse versus concentrating on getting the data landing the data into the platform, right? Hivo was helped us save a lot of time and a lot of engineering cost uh, by being really just drag and click and forget about it. Honestly, we don't have many issues. We had some issues when AWS was down for a few hours, but other than that, we don't really have major issues with Hivo.
Got it.
So that's one point. Like look at tools that can provide data ingestion very economically. I would say Hivo. At least for us, it's very economical and fast,
Mm.
right? And then look at some data platform. Depends of your use case. If you do more deeper insights, right? Probably Snowflake. For us, it's a very good platform, right? If you do more modeling or other kind of data uh, exploration, consider Databricks. But for what we need at Keller Postman, Snowflake, it's a great tool.
Got it. Awesome. I think these are a couple of, things that everybody can keep in their mind while, building their own stack. How does your road ahead looks like with Hivo or just general in your data journey?
Right. So we're looking, as I mentioned before, looking to go to the Hivo enterprise connectors, which will give us more close to real time availability of data in the warehouse, especially for Salesforce as a source, some of our Postgres and SQL Server data sources.
Got it. Awesome. So I think it's time for the last three key takeaways. So Sorin, how do you suggest folks to, scale without complexity?
Right. So for us, data centralization was very important, right? Getting data in one place, normalizing the data and make it available and easy to report was critical for our business and for our ability to us to go to courts and present data they ask in a timely manner, right? Many times they have timelines, right? You need to go to a court and present as by a certain date, and there's all the time people were working very stressful time-bound limits, and we had a lot of people trying to pull up these data reports. Now it's a kind of a mundane task. Just go in Sigma, get your report, and there's not much pressure on those teams anymore, and they don't need that many people to produce the same result.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Soren, for all the information you shared about how you built your stack, how folks here who've joined us can build their own stack, and also, putting a few good words about you as well. So now I'll stop the screen share and I'll open it for questions. Guys, if you have any questions if you want to inquire about your data journey, Hivo or anything, just feel free to put it in the chat, in the Q&A tab. We'll be taking it forward. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, see if there are any questions. In meanwhile, thank you so much, Sorin, for joining us.
Absolutely. A pleasure.
Yes. It's
Here with
amazing to
you.
hear like customers who share real life impact with us. It's quite empowering and quite motivating for us to know that hey, somebody is actually using the tool for making sure that their business is growing. So it's good to hear about that.
Exactly. One thing I would mention now that came to my mind, right? Like we do a lot of transformations down in Snowflake and Warehouse, but I want to point out that he will also have the ability to do transformations while ingesting data into Warehouse. And that's something that we plan to look a little bit closer into.
Yeah, these are like our in-flight transformations,
Okay.
preload ones. Yes. Cool. I do not see any questions as of now. What we'll do is we'll drop an email with a recording and also Soren's LinkedIn. So if you want to have get in touch with Soren, have some quick
Oh,
questions, feel free to do that. And if you want to talk more about Hivo, we'll put a link there as well. Thank you so much, everybody who has joined in today. It was pretty great to hear the story. Thank you,
thanks,
Soren.
everybody. Appreciate the time.
Yeah. All
Talk to
right.
you.
Bye-bye.